Okay guys, so now it is time. We've logged in to the game, whatever is in this world. We're gonna stare at her beautiful bum while I explain the blunder that is the game screen. Now, this is the game, right? But to play the game, you need some more stuff, namely the interface. First of all, the simplest thing here is the chat channel. When you click on this, you're gonna see a lot of voice emotes, emotes, and yeah, basically there's a lot of stuff that you can do. And yeah, there's also the combat log, which sometimes is important, but we'll not talk about that. You can chat by pressing space enter, and you can access the different channels by typing whatever, yeah, etc. So yeah, next thing you'll notice is up here the character portrait. It probably won't have any text in it, or it will have status text, yeah, or it will have this in it. So how you can change this is, as I just did, you go to press escape, interface, status text, and display percentages. Percentages are always neat, but if you like seeing numbers, go for it. Okay, so these frames show your character and your resting status. We're not going to talk about resting for now, but basically, otherwise it shows your level, your name, your health, and your mana, or your secondary resource, so that is rage or energy, respectively, depending on what class you're playing. The next piece of interface we're going to look at is up here, the minimap. You can close it by pressing the X, although, I mean, minimap is cool. If you have any add-ons, which we will talk about later, they will have these little globules around them, usually, which you can move around. You can also access the world map from here and track stuff. For example, I, as a warlock, can sense demons. And so, yeah, I can do that. But you can also track mailboxes to show their location on the map, etc. There's a lot of stuff here, and it really is convenient if you need to find something. You can also zoom out or zoom in the minimap. I prefer to have it all the way zoomed out, but it doesn't really matter. You can also show the clock and stopwatch from here. All useful things. So, next up, the world map. So world map will show what zone you are in. Right now I'm in the middle of nowhere, so yeah. But you can zoom out by right-clicking, tracks as the content. So here you can see, for example, this is Blades Edge Mountain. So you can look at the zones, and when you're actually stood somewhere, it'll show you on the map. So yeah, the world is pretty freaking huge, and if you want to go explore, because yeah, it is pretty sick. So yeah, you can also navigate the map through here. Like, you can go Outland, and you can just go Terracar Forest and such. But yeah, that's about it for that interface. Next up is this thing here. This is your action bar. Here you will have spells. You can use Shift, 2, 3, 4, etc. to switch through these action bars. But I recommend you stick to action bar number 1. If you ever just it wipes itself, just click this a few times, or Shift and up and down arrow keys. Keep it at 1. It's very useful to keep it at 1. So now let's talk about these buttons here, but first I want to talk about this thing, which is your latency, your frame rate, your bandwidth, and your backpack. Your backpack is where all your items go, where your gold is stored, and yeah, you can have 4 other bags, which will be significantly bigger than your backpack, and you will see later. So, these tools here. First of all, we got the help request, which is yeah, you can ticket and stuff like that. Then you got the options, which you already looked at. You know the options, okay? The only thing I really want to point out is, if you want to play, you probably should do is you should go to action bars, and you should enable these action bars. Let me always show action bars so you can see I have them keybound a lot of stuff there. But yeah, for the purpose of this video of guiding you through simply, I'm just not going to use it. But if you are ever run out of space, interface, action bars, bottom left, bottom right, right, and right bar 2. Look how many action bars it gives you. So yeah, next menu we're going to talk about is a looking for group. We're looking for more. This is not really used that much. You can just search people for raids, and also looking for this, your comment, and yeah, it's not the best of tools, but sometimes it helps. Next up is a social menu, your friends, your ignores. You can do /who to bring up this menu, and you can refresh this to see all the people and where they are. Also the chat channels and your raid group. This is going to be very important, because when you're in raid, you're going to want to see who's in your raid. So now we have the quest log, which has all your quests tracked in it. You're going to use this a lot if you're doing some quests. So the talents, we're going to talk about those later, and the spellbooks and abilities, we're going to talk about that later yet again. Now it's time for the character pane. So the character pane is the most important info because it has all the stuff about your character. It also has reputations, your skills, and your PvP status. We don't really need to talk about these two. Really, here we just got reputation, which is the second most important thing. You'll learn what it is if you play, but other than that, it's not really necessary. Let's talk about this. So it shows you some base stats, your melee, range, spell stats. Yeah. So what is this? So everything in WoW spins around some attributes. Every piece of gear has a bit of attributes. So these attributes are strength, agility, stamina, intellect, spirit, and armor, but armor just kind of comes on gear. So yeah. You can also get bonus damage, bonus spell power, bonus healing power, spell hit and hit chance, critical strike chance, haste rating and spell haste rating. Yeah, I'm going to explain all these. So first of all, we got strength. Strength increases your melee damage. Agility increases your melee damage, dodge, crit chance, and armor. Intellect increases your spell power and mana. Stamina increases your health, and spirit increases your health and mana regen. So each class, or each spec, we're going to talk about what classes and specs are in a moment, each of them has one attribute of these base stats that it likes. We're going to talk about all of these right now. So there are strength users, which are DPS warriors, DPS paladins, DPS shamans that decide to melee DPS. Agility users are hunters, rogues, and druids that decide to be a cat. Shaman that decide to melee DPS, they are complicated. Shaman melee DPS is kind of weird. Nobody really knows what to stack, but hey. Then we got the intellect users, which are all the casters. That is mages, warlocks, druids that decide to be owls, and yes, you can be an owl. And priests that decide to DPS, and shaman that decide to do ranged DPS. Then we got stamina users, which I'm going to say something more to stamina users in a moment. The stamina users are warriors, paladins, and druids that decide to tank, possibly warlocks that decide to tank, but it's not really common to see a warlock tanking. Then we got spirit users, which once again I'm going to mention something to the spirit users in a moment. All the healers that, all the priests, druids, and shamans that decide to heal will really want spirit. So, quick note to spirit and stamina users, they also need strength, agility, and intellect, respectively. So, all the spirit users want intellect, the bear druids that tank druids want agility, and the warrior and paladin tanks want strength, because stamina and spirit has no offensive benefits, or for healers, no defensive benefits, because healers still need intellect to cast bigger heals because of the spell power, and tanks still need strength and agility for damage, because damage is the main thing that generates threat, and threat is the main thing that keeps tanks, in business. So yeah, I will explain more about that later. Let's talk about the rest of the stats. There's hit and spell hit rating, expertise rating, spell penetration, haste rating, spell haste rating, and critical strike chance. So hit and spell hit are your top priority stat if you're a damage dealer or a tank. Basically, if you're not a healer, you need spell hit. You need spell hit and hit. You don't need spell hit if you're a... Okay, quick thing to note here. If you're a melee, you will never need spell hit, and if you're a caster, you will never need normal hit. Okay? Spell hit is for casters, hit is for melees and hunters. So, hit or spell hit are your top priority stat, because you can't do damage if you're not hitting anything. Expertise is basically the same as hit, but only for melee damage dealers. Expertise basically reduces the chance your attacks will be dodged or parried. Instead of, missing completely, your attacks can also be dodged or parried. Now, the interesting thing about dodging and parrying is it can only happen when you're standing in front of the boss. So if you're hitting the monster from the front, it can dodge and parry, but if you're hitting from behind, it cannot dodge or parry. It will never do that. Next about haste and spell haste. Imagine drugs. Your character is progressively more high the more haste and spell haste it has, because it basically makes you attack or cast faster. So when you have a ton of haste, you literally just cast like a madman. So yeah. spell penetration is basically expertise for casters. Although it is weird. Like, yeah, it's... I don't really know how to explain it properly, but basically, every enemy has a certain resistance to magic. A ghost, for example, might have like 5% chance to resist your shadow magic spells, but a 0% chance to resist your holy magic spells. TLDR, penetration is kind of good. Penetration is good. Yeah, that's what she said. Next up, crit chance. Do I really need to like explain crit chance? Crit chance basically like you have more crit, you do more damage, because crit has a chance to make your attacks hit really hard. So yeah. So yeah, that's about it for stats. But we see that whatever AFK, you see that there's a lot of stats, and every single one of the classes has one stat that they like. You will know which stat it is because it'll be pretty obvious. If not, I will put up a chart on screen, or just ask me in the comments and I can help you, or just do some Googling maybe. Google like 2.4.3 your class, your spec guide, and you will probably find out. For example, red paladins want a lot of crit chance. Shadow priests want a lot of spell haste rating. But yeah, that's basically it. Now, let's look at abilities. This is going to be one of the longer videos, but yeah, we're going to look at abilities. So press P to open your spellbook, and in your spellbook you will notice 4 little things here. You've got the general spellbook, and one for each 3 of your class's specializations. Now, specializations, every class has 3 specializations, which you can access by clicking N, and these talent things here, which you won't worry about so far, are basically they're the stuff that you can specialize to be. You can be, I would like to, describe with a paladin, for example. A paladin can either be a holy protector, a holy warrior, or a holy healer. And your specialization and your choice of talents determines which one you are. So, from the general section, if you're a melee DPS, I would really, bind, put it here. You can bind stuff on your bar by clicking and dragging. Now, to get it off, you can click and drag, or if it doesn't work, because there is an option to lock the action bars where you can't just do this, what you can do is you can shift and click, and then it will work, even if your action bars are locked. But yeah, every class has different abilities you want to bind. I'm gonna talk about stuff that you want to bind, but for now, let's just quickly hop over to my paladin and tell you guys how to bind a retribution paladin. Actually, fuck this. Okay, guys, I've decided to not record all of that on my paladin, so yeah, basically, I'm gonna talk about how to bind a warlock, because binding a warlock is possibly the easiest thing ever. Now, before you get deep into the game, what I really recommend you do is you go through your spellbook and you read all of these spells. All of them. When you see different spell ranks, you can skip it. You can just read the highest rank, because you're going to be always using the highest rank of a spell. But yeah, basically, you want to read through all of these, you want to read through all of these, and you want to read through all of these. Yeah, you just want to do that. But today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to bind your warlock, because the warlock is the easiest thing ever. So what you want to do is you want to ignore this page, you want to go into affliction, and you want to pick out one spell, which is found on the 6th page. It is Life Tap, and you want to bind it somewhere. I prefer binding it to E, because I can easily click it. So what Life Tap does is it takes 580 of your health, and it gives you 580 mana. Takes health, gives you mana. It's gonna save you, but you need a healer, and watch out so you don't kill yourself with it. And the next spell you need is what we call Shadow Bolt. It is the bread and butter of playing a warlock, and you will literally not be using any other spell. Yeah, I suggest to find your own keybinds. Just use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 and stuff. I prefer the binds like E and Q and C and all that. But yeah, this is it. You just successfully keybound your warlock. This is all you're gonna need on a warlock. Of course, what is to be noted is that all these spells have their use. All of these spells have their use. Searing Pain has its use. We got all the demonology spells that all have their uses. But for now, you gotta understand this game is simple. Really, look, this is all I need. Do you know what? I could easily go like this, like just the Shadow Bolt, but Life Tap gives me mana, so that's good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about talents, and I'm going to do talents of the Destruction Warlock. Now, to note, there is always a best talent build somewhere online. So if you really want to like min-max, I would suggest you just go online and you type in your class, your spec, and like talent guide. But yeah, you will see that there are 3 talent pages here. Affliction, Demonology, and Destruction for me. For Priest, for example, it's going to be Shadow, Discipline, and Holy. Yeah, basically, I will just like go over all the specs and what they do for all the classes. But what they are is basically you're personalizing your class. It's a set of passive effects that personalizes your class. So yeah, for Druids, you have Balance, which is caster DPS, Feral, which is either a tank or a melee DPS, Restoration, which is a healer, and yeah, all of these 3 are viable depending on what you want to do. So Feral is a good tank, a good melee DPS, Restoration is a good healer, etc. So for Hunters, you have Survival, Marksmanship, and Beast Mastery, which are all 3 ranged DPS specs. The preferred spec at the moment, I'm not sure, but I think it is Beast Mastery. If not, then it's a bit of Survival in it. Then you got the Mage, which has 3 specs, Fire, Frost, and Arcane, which are all 3 casters, and the preferred spec at the moment is Fire. Then you got the Paladin with Holy, which is a healer spec, Retribution, which is a melee DPS spec, and Protection, which is a tank spec. Once again, all 3 are viable, depending on what you want to do. For Rogue, you have Assassination, Combat, and Subtlety, which are all melee DPS, and the preferred spec at the moment is Combat, using swords as your weapons. Then you got the Warlock, which as you saw has Affliction, Demonology, and Destruction, which are all caster DPS specs, and the preferred spec is Destruction, buffing Shadow spells, because as you can see, I will literally just be using Shadow Bolt. Then you got the Warrior, the final class, which has Arms and Fury, which are melee DPS, and Protection, which is a tank. Yeah, all viable, but I think Arms does pull ahead a bit. But yeah, what you want to do with your talents is you want to check the preferred spec, and you just want to read the talents. So look, improve Shadow Bolt. Your Shadow Bolt critical strikes increase shadow damage dealt to the target by 4% until 4 non-periodic damage sources are applied. Cool, look, I like my Shadow Bolt. I'm going to take that. Reduces the mana cost of your destruction spells. Maybe later. Improve Shadow Bolt looks much better. Bane. Reduces the casting time of your Shadow Bolt and immolate spells. That looks good. Gives your destruction spells a chance to daze. This is really good for PvP, but we're not going to PvP, so we're just going to go 5 points into Bane yet again. You'll notice that I need, for example, 15 points in Destruction Talents to get this and such, so you're slowly going to be unlocking everything. And yeah. Improved Firebolt. Meh. Yeah, we want this. We want Soul Shards. It's, yeah, I will talk about that later, but yeah, we want this. It sounds cool. So the target dies, it's basically an execute, right? Yeah. And we need more points, so might as well go with Devastation, right? There we go. Because Ruin looks cool. Proof Searing Pain? No thanks. Because Searing Pain generates a lot of threat, and by the way, I'm just using Shadow Bolt, if you haven't noticed. Increase the range of your destruction spells and reduces the threat caused by them. That sounds really good. Intensity gives you a 35% chance to resist interruption caused by damage. What is this? Chance to stun the target. I'm not sure. Not sure, but I'm going to take Destructive Reach, and I need some points, so I'm going to take Intensity. So, do I want Pyroclasm? Not really. Do I want Immolate? No, not really. Do I want Ruin? Yes, please. How many points do we need? Right now I invested 21 points, which means we need a bit more points here. How about we take... see, I need a bit more points, but I don't really want Immolate, because I'm not going to be using Immolate, obviously. How about we take the improved Firebolt for the Imp, and Pyroclasm to get those points. Yeah, that sounds good. After being hit with a Shadow or Fire spell, you have a 10% chance to become immune. I don't really like that. Increases the damage done by your fire spells and reduces the cast time. I don't really like that. I don't want to really cast fire spells, man. So I'm going to invest 5 points into Cataclysm. Yeah, I'm going to invest 5 into Cataclysm. There we go. And we unlock the other tier. So Backlash. Increases your critical strike chance with spells and gives you an 8% chance when hit by a physical attack to reduce the cast time of your next Shadow Bolt or Incinerate spell by 100%. Okay, that sounds really good. I'm going to take that. Soul Leech gives your Shadow Bolt, Shadowborn, Soulfire, Incinerate, and Searing Pain and Conflagrate spells. That's a lot of spells. 10% chance to return health. That sounds good. Sounds really good, actually. I'm going to take that. Okay. Bonus spell damage? Yeah, please. I'll take that. And Shadow Fury. Damage and stunning. I like that. Yeah, that sounds good. Keep in mind, these endpoint talents are always really good. Say, like, look, Summons a Felguard. Oh, boy, that sounds epic. But yeah, right now, we're going to just look at this. You know, how about we... Oh, look, I like that. Increases the amount of mana awarded by life tap. Okay, we're going to do that. Reduces the chance to resist and reduces the cast. I'm going to take this, why not? And then we're going to take the life tap thing. Okay. Do I want anything else from here? Increase the effect of Curse of Weakness. While you drain soul, friction spells generate less threat. Amount drained by or drain life for each affliction effect on the target. Okay, I don't really want that. Improved Health Stone, that sounds good. Increases stamina but reduces spirit. I don't know. I'm going to take Improved Health Stone, definitely. The effects of your Fireball, Fire Shot. Okay, I already buffed my Imp earlier with my talents. Might as well take it, right? Intellect. Okay. Pre-Void Walker, that's for solo play. I don't really know what to do, so I'm going to take this. And we might as well take some more health, right? Increase the effect of armors. That looks nice. Okay, that looks nice. That looks really nice, actually. And we got one more point to invest. One final point. Where do we put it? Do we want to take something in destruction? Do we? I don't actually think so. We can take one into Nether Protection because it's, you know, might as well. Okay. So then, now that I finished my talents, it is time to get my gear. But this video is getting a bit long. I'm going to cover, like, gearing in another video. So yeah, guys.